People often ask me why a 75-year-old woman would sell the house that held a lifetime of memories to move into a senior living facility all alone. They think I must be lonely. But the truth is, I've never felt more free, more at peace, than I do right now. Sitting here on my balcony, overlooking these beautiful gardens in sunny Florida. My name is Evelyn, and I'm about to tell you a story that might shock you. It's about the day my son, a successful surgeon, whom I was so proud of, told me he was just waiting for me to die. But more than that, it's about what happened after, and how sometimes the greatest act of love for a child is teaching them to stand on their own 2 feet, even if they stumble and fall. Let me take you back to the beginning, to understand how we got here. I came to America 43 years ago with my late husband David, carrying nothing but hope and $27 in my pocket. We were young Vietnamese immigrants with big dreams and bigger hearts. David worked double shifts at a factory while I learned English watching soap operas with a dictionary in my lap. We saved every penny, dreaming of the American dream for our children. After David passed away 12 years ago from a heart attack, I was left alone in our small but cozy house in Ohio. It wasn't much to look at from the outside, a modest 2-story with blue shutters and a garden where I grew tomatoes and herbs. But inside those walls lived 40 years of laughter, tears, birthday parties, and bedtime stories. The kitchen still smelled like the pho I used to make every Sunday, and David's reading chair by the window still held the impression of his body. I had 2 children. Michael, my eldest at 45, became a plastic surgeon in New York City. On paper, he was everything a mother could dream of. Successful, wealthy, living in a penthouse apartment. But success, I learned, doesn't always build character. Then there was Sarah, my daughter, 42 years old, living in California. She was divorced, raising her 2 kids alone, struggling to make ends meet as a teacher. But she had something Michael had lost along the way. She had a heart. The distance between my children and me had grown over the years like a slow-growing vine you don't notice until it's choking the life out of your garden. Phone calls became shorter. Visits became rarer. Christmas and Thanksgiving were spent alone more often than not, with excuses about being too busy, too far away, too important. But Michael, oh my Michael, he had a different relationship with me entirely. To him, I wasn't his mother. I was an ATM machine with a heartbeat. It started small, as these things always do. A few thousand here for a business opportunity, 5,000 there for his wife's restaurant that never opened, 10,000 for a tech startup that disappeared faster than morning mist. Each time, he came to me with tears in his eyes and promises on his lips. "Ma, this is it. This is the one that'll make us all rich. I'll pay you back triple. I swear on Dad's grave." And like a fool, like a mother who loved her son more than her own security, I believed him every single time. I watched my life savings, the money David and I had scraped together working 16-hour days, disappear into Michael's bottomless pit of failed dreams and expensive mistakes. The calls always followed the same pattern. First came the charm. The "How are you, Ma? I've been thinking about you." Then came the stories about his success, his patience, his wonderful life. And finally, always finally, came the ask. The reason he called. The money he needed. 3 months ago, my phone rang on a Tuesday evening while I was watching the news. I saw Michael's name on the caller ID, and my stomach immediately knotted. I knew that tone before he even spoke. "Ma, I have incredible news." The opportunity of a lifetime just fell into my lap. His voice was electric with fake enthusiasm. "There's this medical building going up in Manhattan, and I can get in on the ground floor. My own practice, Ma. Think about it. No more working for other people, no more splitting fees. This is our chance. Our chance." As if I were somehow invested in his endless parade of schemes. "How much, Michael?" I asked, cutting through his sales pitch like a knife through butter. There was a pause. A long pause that told me everything I needed to know. $300,000, Ma. I know it sounds like a lot, but 300,000? The number hit me like a physical blow. That was almost everything I had left. Everything that stood between me and poverty in my old age. Ma, listen to me. This isn't like the other times. This is guaranteed. The building is already under construction. The contracts are signed. In 2 years, I'll be making $1 million a year easy. I'll pay you back everything, plus interest. You'll never have to worry about money again. I closed my eyes and saw David's face. Remembered his calloused hands counting bills at our kitchen table. Planning for our retirement. For our security. Michael, I can't. I'm sorry, but I just can't risk that much money. I can help you with 5,000, maybe 10, but not 300. That's my entire life savings. The warmth vanished from his voice like someone had flipped a switch. 5,000? Ma, that's nothing. That won't even cover the application fees. You're sitting on all this money while your son is trying to build something real here. I'm 75 years old, Michael. If something happens to me, if I get sick, I need that money to survive. Nothing's going to happen to you, Ma. You're healthy as a horse. But this opportunity won't wait. If you don't help me now, I'll lose it forever. I'm sorry, Michael. The answer is no. The line went dead. He hung up on me without another word. For 3 weeks, I heard nothing. No calls, no texts, nothing. I told myself it was for the best. Maybe Michael would finally learn to stand on his own, to make his own way in the world, without relying on his aging mother's bank account. But I should have known better. Michael wasn't done with me yet. The call came at 11:30 on a Friday night. I was already in my nightgown, getting ready for bed, when the phone rang with that harsh, urgent sound that only comes with bad news. Ma. Michael's voice was panicked, breathless, like he'd been running. Ma, you have to help me. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. My heart stopped. Despite everything, despite all his lies and manipulation, he was still my son. What happened? Are you hurt? I borrowed the money, Ma. From some people I shouldn't have borrowed from. They said if I didn't pay them back by Monday, they were going to hurt me. Really hurt me. What people, Michael? Who did you borrow from? I can't say their names on the phone, Ma. But they're serious. Look. I'm sending you a picture right now. Look what they did to me just for being a day late on the interest. My phone buzzed with an incoming photo. When I opened it, I gasped. It showed Michael's face, swollen and bruised, his left eye blackened, his lips split and bleeding. He looked like he'd been beaten within an inch of his life. Oh my God, Michael. Have you called the police? I can't call the police, Ma. These aren't the kind of people you call the police on. They told me if I involve the cops, next time they won't stop at just bruises. Ma, I need you to wire me the money tonight. All of it. Please. I'm begging you. I stared at that photograph, my hands shaking, my heart breaking for my son. This was my baby. The little boy I used to rock to sleep, whose scraped knees I used to kiss better. And now he was in real danger because of his own stupid choices. Michael, even if I wanted to help, I can't wire that kind of money tonight. Banks don't work that way. And I'd have to sell the house first to get that much cash. Then start the process first thing Monday morning, Ma. Please. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I barely slept that weekend. Every noise made me jump, thinking it might be men coming for Michael, or worse, coming for me. By Sunday, I had made up my mind. I would sell the house. I would give my son the money he needed to save his life, even if it meant spending my final years in poverty. But something nagged at me about that photograph. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Monday morning, I looked at it again, studying every detail. That's when I saw it. In the background, barely visible, was a mirror. And in that mirror, I could see Michael's reflection, taking the picture himself. But more than that, I could see something else. His other eye, the one that wasn't supposedly blackened, looked perfectly normal in the reflection. Too normal. My hands trembling, I called Michael's building in New York and asked to speak to the concierge. Excuse me, I'm trying to reach my son, Dr. Michael Chen in apartment 34B. I need to know if he's been hurt. Has anyone seen him with injuries? Dr. Chen? No, ma'am. I saw him just this morning in the lobby. He looked fine to me. Actually, he was laughing with some friends about something. Seemed to be in a great mood. The world spun around me. I hung up the phone and called Michael immediately. Ma, did you start the paperwork? Did you call the realtor? Michael. My voice was steady, cold, like ice forming over a deep lake. I know about the photograph. Silence. Long, telling silence. I know you took it yourself. I know those bruises are fake. I know there are no dangerous men, no loan sharks, no threat to your life. It's all a lie, isn't it? More silence. Then, finally, a sigh. Ma, look, I can explain. No, Michael, you can't explain. There is no explanation for this. You tried to terrorize your 75-year-old mother into giving you her life savings by making her think you were going to be killed. What kind of person does that? His voice changed then. The fake panic was gone, replaced by something cold and calculating that I'd never heard from my son before. Look, Ma, I needed the money, okay? You're just sitting on all this cash, and you're not getting any younger. What are you saving it for? You're going to be dead in a few years anyway. The words hit me like a physical slap. What did you just say to me? I said you're going to be dead in a few years anyway. And when you die, all that money is going to come to me and Sarah. So why not help me now when I actually need it? You're being selfish. I felt something break inside my chest. Not my heart exactly, but something deeper. Something that had been holding my love for Michael together, despite all his lies and betrayals. Are you saying you're just waiting for me to die? Oh, come on, Ma. Don't be so dramatic. I'm just saying that money is going to be mine eventually anyway, so you're waiting for me to die. There was another pause, and when Michael spoke again, his voice had turned completely cold, like I was speaking to a stranger wearing my son's face. Fine. Yes. If you want to put it that way, then yes. I'm waiting. Because when you're gone, I won't have to beg and plead and make up stories to get what's already mine. So, if you won't help me now, then I'll just wait. The money will all be mine soon enough anyway. The line went quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat in the silence, loud as thunder in my ears. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm, steady, like the voice of someone who had just found solid ground after years of sinking sand. You're right, Michael. It is my money. And I'll decide what happens to it. I hung up the phone. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage or throw things or curse his name. Instead, I sat in David's old chair by the window and watched the sun set over our little garden. For the first time in years, my mind was crystal clear. The next morning, I called a real estate agent, not to help Michael, but to help myself. Hello, this is Evelyn Chen. I'd like to sell my house. The process moved quickly. The house sold in 3 weeks to a young couple with a baby on the way. People who would fill it with new laughter and new memories. I took great comfort in that. While the paperwork was being finalized, I made other calls. To a lawyer. To set up a trust fund for Sarah's children that Michael could never touch. To a financial advisor. To make sure the bulk of my money would go to charities that helped Vietnamese immigrants and single mothers. And to the finest senior living community in Florida, where I could spend my remaining years in peace, surrounded by people who chose to be there, not people waiting for me to die. The day I signed the final papers, Sarah called me, crying. Mom, Michael told me what you're doing. He says you're giving away our inheritance, that you've lost your mind. Mom, please, talk to me. What's going on? I told her everything. About Michael's lies, his fake photograph, his cruel words. Sarah was quiet for a long time after I finished. Mom, she said finally, her voice thick with tears. I'm so sorry. I knew Michael had problems, but I never imagined he would say something so horrible to you. You don't owe him anything. You don't owe any of us anything. You gave us life. You gave us love. You gave us everything you had. If you want to spend your final years in peace, you've earned that right. What about the money, Sarah? Michael says I'm stealing your inheritance. Sarah laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Mom, I never counted on an inheritance. I never wanted one. I want you alive and happy more than I want any money. And if Michael can't understand that, then he's not the brother I thought I knew. Then he's not the brother I thought I knew. 3 months later, I was settled into my new life here in Florida. My apartment is small but comfortable, with that balcony overlooking the gardens. I have new friends, people my own age, who understand the value of simple pleasures. We play cards. We share meals. We tell stories about our children and grandchildren. Some of us have children who visit regularly, who call every week. Others, like me, have children who have forgotten that their parents are people, not just sources of money. Michael has called twice since I moved, both times demanding to know what I've done with his money. Both times, I hung up on him. Sarah visits when she can, brings her children to see their grandmother. They're good kids, and the trust fund will help them go to college someday, when they're old enough to appreciate it. Last week, I got a letter from the Vietnamese American Family Center, thanking me for my donation. They're using the money to help new immigrants learn English, to start small businesses, to achieve their own American dreams. The letter included pictures of families who had been helped by the program. Looking at those faces, those hopeful eyes, I saw myself and David 40 years ago. I saw the future we had dreamed of, not just for our own children, but for all children. I keep that letter on my nightstand next to a picture of David. Sometimes I imagine him sitting with me on this balcony, watching the sunset, proud of the woman his shy young wife had become. People think I'm punishing Michael, that I'm being cruel, but they don't understand that the cruelest thing I could do would be to keep enabling him, keep feeding his belief that the world owes him something, that love means never having to face consequences for your actions. The greatest gift I can give my son now is the chance to learn that love isn't a blank check, that respect isn't automatic, that family isn't a safety net you can abuse without consequence. At 75, I've learned it's never too late to reclaim your life. The most valuable thing I have now isn't the money in my bank account, it's the peace in my heart. And that's something no one can inherit from me. That's something everyone has to earn for themselves. I sleep well now. Here in my little apartment by the garden, I wake up each morning grateful for another day, another sunset, another chance to live on my own terms. And when I do pass away, someday in the future, I'll do so knowing that my money went to people who needed it, who appreciated it, who understood its true value. Michael was right about one thing. When I die, he won't have to beg for money anymore, because there won't be any money left to beg for. And maybe, just maybe, that will be the greatest gift I ever give him. The gift of learning to stand on his own 2 feet, to find his own way in the world, to discover that the most important inheritance isn't money. It's knowing how to live with dignity, how to love without conditions, and how to sleep at night with a clear conscience. That's a lesson worth more than all the money in the world. I just pray that someday, my son will be wise enough to understand it.